Welcome back, everybody, to the Thrive After Sports podcast. If you are tuning in on Author Spotlight, thank you for tuning in there as well. This is Taj Dashaun, Vice President of Self-Published in 30 Days, joined today by a great man, Mr. Bryant Lavender. What's going on, Bryant?
What's going on, Taj? Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here with you, man. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. We got to give a shout out to Dr. Gregory Charlotte, for making that connection. Shout out to you, Dr. Greg, if you're listening, man. Ever since I connected with you, Brian, I can already tell, man, this is going to be a lifelong friendship, partnership. We just getting started, man.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Before we dive in, man, I don't want to, you got so many accolades, you know what I mean? I don't want to mess anything up. So I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself to the people. Please let everybody know who is Mr. Bryant Lavender and everything you're up to these days.
How y'all doing? My name is BryantLavender. I am a 4-time published author and a speaker. And I currently manage a moving company here in the South in Gulfport, Mississippi. And that's right by the Gulf of Mexico for everybody that don't know. But I love to help people get to be who they are. I like to be a spark plug to inspire people to be who they need to be. I want to catapult you to your purpose. So any opportunity that I have to do that, whether it's in the front of thousands of people or one person, I love to do that. I love life. I believe that everybody is a life carrier. So I try to bring that to everything that I do. When I play sports, with the moving company, even with my books that I write and when I speak, I love energy. And I think that's imperative to have when you're going into an environment, because I believe that when we walk into an environment that we can shift it by we can shift the atmosphere just by our energy.
Yes, sir, man. Well said. I love it, man. I love the energy. And for everybody listening, make no mistake about it. Brian is real humble and laid back, but he's a beast. He's an animal. He was a baller, still a baller, no longer balling on the field, but balling in life now. Can you just talk a little bit about your college days and what it was like transitioning out? Because I know we have a lot of current and former athletes who tune in to Thrive After Sports. And to see where you're at now, obviously it didn't happen overnight. So can you just take everybody through what it was like when you were leaving, when you stepped away from the game of football and what that whole process was like?
Okay, so college days, let's start with college days. I went to the University of South Alabama down in Mobile, Alabama, where Mardi Gras was founded. I was a part of the first team to ever be at South Alabama. So I was, first generation. We built a program from scratch. Shout out to South Alabama. Go Jags. Always got to get plugged in school up. So in the transition, I entered the draft in 2014. So I came out with Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Mike Evans. I came out with that class, and my good friend Kevin Norwood, we actually best friends. He actually played at Alabama, got drafted to the Seahawks. I came out of there and I had intentions of getting drafted because I got a call from the Miami Dolphins a week before the draft. They said, "Hey, we just want to call and let you know that you're on our board." They asked for all the personal information and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, oh man, I'm finna go to Miami. I'm like, I'm lit. I am turned, And so as the draft day comes, I'm in the process of signing with an agent because I was trying to get an agent to sign with me. At the time, I was a smaller school, so I wasn't getting a lot of calls. I had a couple of interests, and the one that I did have, he told me that I had to go get a workout. But I was like, hold up, man, that's what I'm trying to get you to do. I'm trying to get you to help me get a workout. And so when my name did get called, and he said that, I went outside and I cried. I had a real moment. I cried and I was like, okay, God, what do I do now? Because I am a Christian. I am a follower of Christ. So, that was my first thing. God, what do I do now? And there was a time I made a promise to God when I was my last year in school. I said that when I get a break from football, that I would do my book that he had gave me to do during the season. I couldn't do it because of NCAA violations that could occur. So book came to my spirit. So I was like, all right, let me do my book. So I called my mom, my sister's mother, who was already an author, and she had I think 5 or 6 books already published. And I was like, hey, okay, how do I do this author thing? How do I do it? So we started getting stuff together, And in the summer of 2014, I published my first book, which was Under Pigskin. And that was kind of my introduction to being an author. You know, I wanted people to know that there was more to this kid than shoulder pads, cleats, and a jersey, you know, that I had a head as well. And so, you know, I did that, and I was vulnerable, man. I was nervous because I didn't know how people was going to receive it. You know, up until that point, everybody knew that I was a football player. They knew that they knew that I could speak on my interviews, and they knew that I was, you know, lively and had energy, but they didn't know that I liked to write. You know, a lot of people didn't. You know, it was only a couple of my friends that really knew that I liked to write. And so that was the transition. It was Miss Carrie Macon, my sister's mom, she helped me in that transition. She told me, you know, what to do, how to do it, you know, how I need to go about doing my cover and how to put stuff together and all the red tape that you have to go through, you know, getting your book published and stuff like that. She actually like walked me through it. So I really appreciate that. Shout out to Miss Carrie Macon. I really appreciate you, because now I'm going into my 5th book that I'm going to release this year. So yeah, so it just kept rolling. It kept rolling. So on top of that, so my second book, one of my friends, shout out to Shanice Cheney, we used to write poetry. So my first book is poetry. We used to write poetry together, you know, just to jog our memory, just to keep our mind rolling. And so she was like, bro, I want to show me how to do that, you know? And I said, okay. So when I get done doing everything, like the promotion and the sales, and when it slowed down for my first book, Under Pigskin, I'll help you do another one. I'll help you do your own. She was like, no, I'm kind of scared to go out by myself. I said, all right, well, we'll do one together then, you know? So we co-authored one together, and that was called Sweet Asylum. There's Something on My Mind. And that one is really kind of, it's poetry. So but it was, you know, kind of, she did half and I did half, and we had like a few together that we wrote, and it was talking about relationships and just stuff that happened and problems. So it in the book, it appears like we're talking to each other, but we're really just talking to the problems that we had or situations that we were going through. And so that one was the January of 2015 that I did that one. And so at this time, I was actually preparing to go to camp with the Tampa Bay Storm arena team at the AFL. And so I left and went to Tampa. And man, I was a professional football player. Now I'm getting paid to play, you know, and it was different, you know, it was different. So I was still trying to finish out, you know, what I wanted to do in my heart, you know, and still do what God had put on my heart to do with my books and stuff. And so I think it was the 2016. So I got on the practice squad in 2015 with the arena team with the Tampa Bay Storm. And then in 2016, I was in my prayer closet, and I was like, God, I need another book. I need another book, you know? And I said, what do I talk about? Like, what kind of book do I need to write? And he was like, talk about you. And I was like, what? He was like, do a book on you. And I was like, me? And I was like, okay. I was like, well, where do I start? You know? And so, man, I started writing. I just picked up my pen and started writing, because can't nobody tell the people about you better than you. And so I started writing in my story. I started when I was in elementary, and I got like 5,000 words in, and I was praying, you know, because I needed direction on how to talk about this, because this wasn't a poetry book. This was a sport biography book, you know. So this is real life. And he was like, nah, don't talk about nothing in elementary. And I was like, what? So I'm 5,000 words in. I was like, what am I supposed to do with these 5,000 words, God? Like, I just, you know, I spend time doing this. He was like, mm-mm. And so so I jumped to middle school. And then when I started writing in about 7th grade, that's when everything kind of exploded. Like, I'm talking about, I was sitting at my computer for hours. And then there was some days where I just like, okay, break. But it was through that process, it was healing for me to deal with some of the things that I dealt with, not only with football, but also my life stuff that happened. You know, like my mom, my dad, he passed away when I was in 7th grade. And so it was like that transition, and then going through those phases of not having my dad there. And then my mom, you know, she was doing a lot of stuff, and, you know, she was going through stress, and it was so it was a lot of times that she wasn't there or couldn't be not necessarily physically, but emotionally, she couldn't be there. Not because she didn't want to, but she just was dealing with so much too. And so to go through that and then still trying to be a kid, trying to be friends with people, trying to grow up and do certain things. And so then, you know, that, you know, I talk about media, my pastor and first lady at the time, because my first lady, she was a math teacher, in high school. And so I, just going through all those phases, I had to relive those events in my life, and then getting to college, and how everything happened good, and then there was some bad times in college with coaches and stuff like that. Like, it was a lot of stuff that I had to deal with. Sometimes I had to just step away, because I'm like, oh my God, this is, I was in tears in some of this stuff. And so it was tough. And then I got finished with that. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm an author. That's when I invested into a website. I invested the most money on Driven at the time, because my third book is Driven, Fight for What They Said You Couldn't Have. It meant so much. That's my baby. If somebody asked me, if out of all your books, which one would you tell me to get? I say Driven, what I'm saying? Because that'll give you the essence of who I am, not only as an author, but as a person, as well. So that's the transition. And then I was actually subbing. I was subbing in my local middle school, one of my local middle schools. And while I was working with the movie company, because I was just, I love to be around people to speak life. And, the young kids these days, they need that. They don't see a lot of African-American males, just doing good and pushing them to do great. And so I just started subbing, because after I got done with ball, I actually left Tampa because my mom had some medical issues. And so I left Tampa, came back home. And I, that was when I started subbing. I was like, okay, God, they were testing, the kids were testing, and we was just walking them around. And I was like, okay, God, I need another book to write. I feel like you're telling me I need to do another one. What is, which one you want me to do? And that was when Finding My Way Back came. And it's about three young men who've been friends since elementary school. They get up and they about to graduate college, and certain things in their life happen that they didn't see. And so they lose their way. And then one friend, helps them find their way back. And at the end of the book, they realize, like, it doesn't matter what happened on the outside. It only matters what I'm dealing with right now. And even though my family's not perfect, I still have a purpose. God still loves me. I can do and be great and do great things. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are on my fourth book with Finding My Way Back. And that was, man, it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
I'll say, man, amazing is an understatement. That's quite a lineup, man, and quite a story behind each one of the books too. And I definitely appreciate you going into that. And what I really think is so special about it, Brian, is that, like, there's a personal story behind all of it. And you felt called to do it. It wasn't even really in your plan. You just were listening and tapping in. And like you said, God would speak to you and be like, okay, now it's time to do a book about this. And you just listened, you were obedient, and you just went with it, man. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, I know you have a fifth book coming up. I might be saying too much. Is it top secret? Can you talk about it? Or what's the situation with the fifth book?
I can talk about it. It's not top secret yet.
Okay.
I just want y'all to know, like, it's not ready. You know what I'm saying? It's in the editing phase. Yeah. So it's called Encounters. The fifth book will be called Encounters. Now, actually, what's really ironic, I actually started writing this book in 2017 when I was finishing up Driven. So I was actually, again, I was subbing one day, and I was on lunch break, and some just say, pick up the pens and start writing. So I just started writing, and I didn't know what I was talking about. I thought it was just, maybe I just had an itch to write. I had an itch to write, but it wasn't, in Driven. I wasn't finished with Driven, but I had an itch to write. And so I'm just writing, and I'm like, what is this? And so lo and behold, I finished up. I did it for 2 days, and I ended up writing 6,000 words. And I was like, okay, this is a little short, little story. Okay, cool, whatever, I'll leave it. I left it where it was at. I let a couple people read some of the raw part of it. And they was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't think nothing of it. So Encounters is talking about relationships live or die by what we put into it. So you can end the relationship, or you can keep the relationship going based on how you interact with that person. And that's the essence of kind of what the book is about. It's about a young guy, because I'm an athlete. It's about a young guy who was an athlete, and he just had encounters with females with the opposite sex, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody want to, say, oh man, it's got to be guys. But like, I did a guy book, which is Finding My Way Back, you know what I'm saying? Just, it was all guys. And so, and then this one, was about a guy, having friendships, relationships, or just acquaintances with females, and how the dynamic of the relationship go, like either they continue or they end based on one person's actions or the other. And it's just been phenomenal. So we in the editing phase. We actually at the end of the editing phase. We had a couple of changes that we needed to do for it, but yeah, the cover is already done. I just got to send it off to make sure everything is put together and set. But we pretty much rolling on that. And just a little a sneak preview. I've already started writing my 6th book. If you want to go there.
Okay. Let's go there, man. I'm all for it, man. 6-time author, man. I can't wait. I'm gonna start addressing you as 6-time author, man. Like 6-time author Bryant Lavender. Put some respect on this man's name. But yeah, we can go into that for sure, man. If you open to talking about that 6th book, I would love to hear about it, man.
Well, it's really at the baby stage. I don't want to release too much, so I'm just gonna keep it to myself. But I've started. I'm really at the early stages. I just got the outline and stuff. I don't have a big chunk done, but I'm excited about it. It was cool. It's cool. Like he keep giving them to me. I'm gonna keep writing them. That's all. That's all
right, bro. That's right, man. And, we're far from wrapping up the interview, but just while we're on the topic of the 5th book, this episode is probably going to be released in April or May. So what is the projected release date of the 5th book, and where can people get it? On your website, obviously, but
Okay. So the projected release date, initially, I remember when we talked about it, I said August, but I've been praying about it so I'm gonna keep August. It may be released earlier, depending on how long it takes my editor to get finished with the stuff and then all the final stuff go through. So August at the latest, probably like middle of July, looking at possibly depending on how everything wraps up and goes. And if I had to change something last minute, because I like to give enough time for changes to happen or occur, and not, not, oh man, I have to get it done at this day. To get the book, of course, it'll be on my website, which is www.BryantLavender.com. It also will be on Amazon.com, and I have to look into it. That's why I don't know. It will be an Audible book too. So that's what I'm doing. I got Driven and Finding My Way Back as an audio book too, and that's on Audible. And so I've been, those last 2 are on Audible, and I'm getting geared up. Once I get finished with that, then so I have to get done with that book first, Encounters, before I can send it to the Audible book producer to do it. But it'll be on Audible too. So
got you. Okay, so everybody listening, depending on when you're listening to this, definitely go check out BryantLavender.com. Like you said, the 5th book will be out July, August, somewhere around that time. But go check out some of the other books. There's some heat on there. Make sure you grab those. And like Bryant said, this is an important point that you brought up. All of Bryant's books are available on Amazon, but you want to make sure, just to support everything that Bryant is doing, you get it directly from the website, because there's a whole host of reasons which we won't get into, but it's better if you buy directly from the author themselves, so that it will fund all the other projects that Bryant is working on.
And also, just to do that, also, if you guys want a autographed copy, definitely you can DM me on Instagram, BryantLavender, BryantLavender_. DM me on Twitter, BryantLavender. You can DM me on Facebook, Bryant Lavender. Like, if you write me, I respond back to everything. So if you want a personal copy, like a autographed copy, just hit me up, and I definitely send it to you. You can I got Cash App, I have Apple Pay, I have PayPal. You can send it to me. And I got you. Finding My Way Back. I mean, not finding my well, hold on. Yeah, Finding My Way Back is $12. Driven is $15. Sweet Asylum and Under Pigskin are both 10. So we got the first 2 are 10, the third one is 15, and Finding My Way Back is 12. If you want it, just DM me, tell me which ones you want. If you want all of them, I can do a bundle pricing. Just DM me and let me know, and we'll work it out.
That's right. Reach out to that man and get that signed copy, because this man is going places. You want that signed copy, man. And people don't understand. Like, I try to explain to people, they'll be like, Taj, you didn't sign my book. What's going on? Like, where'd you get it from? Amazon. Well, There you go, right there.
Yeah.
Amazon handles the distribution, so it never touches the author's hands before it gets to you, so you can't get a signed copy. So once again, go to BryantLavender.com, get those books, DM this man if you want to get the signed copy, as you should. You know, I wanted to dive into something that you shared, man, because while you were going through the story behind each of your books, something really stood out to me, and it made me want to ask you, like, as you were going through the process. You talked about like you were shedding tears at some points, man. Like, can you speak to, especially when you're writing about your personal life or personal subjects or things you've been through, would you say that as an author, writing a book is almost like a healing or like a therapeutic process as you're putting the pieces of the story together?
Definitely, because I believe that every good author or great author, every author that wants to really relate to their audience, their readers, or prospective readers, you have to give them a picture as they read your book. They have to be able to visualize what they're reading. And I've always been that kind of person. Yeah, I'm getting the knowledge, but if you don't realize what you're doing, you just put stuff on paper and the people can't visualize it, then to them it's boring. But if they can read your book, and it's like, them soap operas used to be back in the day when our moms, I gotta watch Young and the Restless, it's you telling a story. They were telling a story. So if you tell a story and you paint it with authenticity, with real things, and you don't try to sugarcoat anything, but you actually tell somebody, hey, this is exactly what I did. It didn't work out. This is how I regrouped and came back at it. It will take you to a time that you remember, and you have to relive that. Your emotions that you felt then when you were going through it will come back to you. And I think that that's, for me, that's the most important thing. I want people not only to be able to feel, but I want them to relate, and I want them to understand, and I want to give them practical applications that they can apply to help them get out of any situation that they're in, if it's relatable to some of the things that I went through. My pastor says all the time, he says, you got to get the t-shirt. He said, if you don't know how to get the t-shirt, find somebody that got the t-shirt in your area, and then you take your t-shirt and you make it. And then he said, well, if you can't find nobody that's been through anything that you've ever been through, he said, make your own t-shirt. Well, in order for you to make your own t-shirt, you still have to see somebody else do something. So although they're, for you, Taj, your football career wasn't exactly like mine. However, you can take one or two, or I could take one or two principles from your story, and you could take one or two from my story and then add it to yours. Even though it's not completely like mine, there's a similarity there that we can all take from somebody's story and add it to our life, because we were made to connect.
Speak on it, Bryant. At this time, what we like to do is go ahead and pass the collection plate around for Mr. Bryant. I'm just messing with you, man. But hey, man, I love what you're sharing, man. This is and something else I wanted to touch on while you were sharing about your process is the guidance that you had. You had great people in your corner. You even shouted them out. People who helped you bring the books to fruition and make sure they were done professionally as well. I think that's something that a lot of people are lacking these days, man. So can you just talk about, a lot of people, they try to do books and they just throw it up on Amazon and it looks like a DIY project versus having, can you just talk about the importance of having guidance as you're going through the process? Because a lot of people, they try to do what they think is right instead of doing, getting with people who actually do this for a living or professionals. So talk about the importance of having guidance when you're doing your books.
Man, it's super important. It's very important, because if you do it yourself, it might be good, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, there were some things that on all of my books that I messed up on and had to recant and redo, or there's just things that I had to do, but I did get a professional's opinion, because when you have a team, and sometimes your team is not your team. Sometimes you use other people who are a part of other teams, but they give you a pointer that you didn't even think about. For example, Dorothy Wilson, who helped me with Driven, she was the driving force behind that. She made available 8 or 9 people that was all working on my book. And so I sent them what I wanted. And she said, okay, Brian, I think we need to do it like this. And I'm just like, okay, cool, And then she was like, Brian, there's some things that I want to change. And I said, Well, what things are those? Because there are some things that in a book as an author you can't change because that is your voice. If you change that, then you change your complete voice and you change the dialect and the way your book is going. She didn't touch that. She touched, the production part and how this will work, and she was like, hey, I need to send you to this, like, get this, take this type of picture. We need to set you up with a photo shoot so you can get this. If you look on Mine Under Pigskin, you will see that the author picture is absolutely horrible. Not because that was the best picture I had at the time. I didn't exactly know what was going on. Miss Carrie, she helped me as much as she could. This is before I even met Miss Dorothy and anything. And so I got that picture. Well, if you go all the way to Driven, I don't have a picture on there. By that time Driven came out, I took some more pictures, but they weren't what I needed. So at that point, I was transitioning to becoming, the author that I am now. So I paid more attention to the little details in certain things because, you just don't know as much. You don't know what you don't know. So you can't, oh, I'm finna do it like this, So now if you look at Driven, I really got professional help and I invested in a lot in it for some stuff that I didn't know that I was missing. Like sometimes I didn't even know I was missing key things until I got the help, and I'm not opposed to help. I always wanted help, when I got my first help with Miss Carrie, I went back to her for the second book because that was the only person that I knew that was going to help me, and really like tell me what I wanted to do and give me options and stuff. Well, as you grow through life, you make connections with people and they say, oh, you're an author. And I said, oh, okay, I'm gonna connect you with this person and this person. And so as my connections grew, the help or my resource center for help grew. And so I began to pull on those different resources, and thus Driven came, which is a fantastic product, And then on top of that, when I learned how to do everything, all right, so then I was like, oh, okay, that's how I do that. That's how I do that. All right. So now that I know when Finding My Way Back came, boom. It looks, I have a author picture on the back of Finding My Way Back because I found somebody to take some amazing pictures, and then on top of that, I did everything, so the editor that I had for Driven, I didn't have for Finding My Way Back. Well, one of my friends, she told me, she said, hey, there's some errors, that you use. Like there's some errors from the editor that you use. And I was like, what, for real? And I was like, it wasn't bad. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I looked at the book again, reread it. And I was like, oh, dang. So what I did, I stopped production of the book and I got with another editor. We redid it. And we opened it back up. It wasn't a big thing that everybody knew, all this and that. I appreciate for the people that came and said, hey, you need to do it like this. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everyone that have a book. If anybody would have came to me and said, hey, something wrong with this book, can I get another one? I was like, oh, I will reimburse you another book if you got the one that is messed up. You know what I'm saying? I had no problem with that because I want the message to get across as clearly as possible. If I got all these mistakes in the book that, that you can't get it across clearly, then you got to redo it, And one thing about now, so many people are like, I want it to be perfect. If it's not perfect, I'm not putting it out. If you were supposed to put it out, you need to put it out. If there's something that you need to fix, don't be so prideful that you don't want to fix it. You just like, man, it's whatever. No, fix it. Because if you fix it, then it's going to make you look better. It's like, oh, I messed up. Like I said, I didn't hide it. My friend told me, we got it fixed, and I appreciate them for that, because if you're a true supporter of me, then you're going to tell me when something don't look right. Tell me, let me know, and so when she told me, we fixed it. And so, we've been, I've been in 2018, I did like a major rebranding of me and myself and getting stuff situated and stuff. And so now it's not a major rebranding. It's just some things that's getting tweaked every so often. I go back and reevaluate, re-look at some things. And so that's kind of how it happens. You always got to have people that's going to be in your corner and tell you when things are not so great. You're going to have enough people telling you you're great, but the people that tell you that, hey, you need to fix this, hey, check that out. Those are the people that are going to help you solidify and propel you even further.
Man, that's some strong advice right there, Brian. I appreciate you sharing that, man. And I love what you touched on earlier about the fact that when it comes to doing a book or anything in life, for that matter, when you're doing something new, you don't know what you don't know. So there are things that are going to be revealed to you that, I think about when I put out my first book last year. I'm like, there were things that I weren't even thinking about. So to have that guidance in your corner is priceless, man. To be able to have someone to be like, this is what you need to think about, this is what you need to look out for. And like you said, people to keep it real with you, like, hey, this needs work. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you sharing all that, man. I want to spend some time for everybody tuning in on Thrive After Sports. Because people might look at you and be like, oh, let me get this dog. Hang on. I'm not editing that out either.
Yeah, you good.
We're gonna leave this in here.
Speaking of that, while you're doing that, I know you can hear me. Man, I need a book, man. Let's do a book swap, bro.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. I'm gonna make a note. I definitely gotta get you one, man.
Yeah. We'll book swap.
But what I was saying was, I felt like, you're doing all these great things and you've been able to build such a great life for yourself after the game, right? Mm-hmm. So people are looking at you like, man, Brian is working on his fifth book. He's coming out with a sixth one. He's speaking, all these opportunities, these doors are opening up. Can you just give some advice to those athletes out there who are lost or just having trouble figuring out, like, man, I'm no longer playing. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want to do. Like, what advice can you give to them to start that process of, carving out a new lane for themselves and just thriving after sports, man?
Okay. So, as athletes, we love structure. We love things. Okay, this, and this. I think it was about when I started playing arena ball, that I realized that we live one of the most stressful lives that any person can live. I think it's really close to that of people that do the stock market, because we can be up one day and we could be down the next day. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because everybody on the stock market is pending on something that they cannot control. As an athlete, our playing time, our opportunity to be on the team is based on someone that we cannot control. We could be the best receiver, DB, lineman, whatever. We can be the fastest, whatever. But it's that one person that says, I don't want him to play right now, and we don't get PT, And so the difference is when you transition out of sports, there is you could take more control of what you do. Usually the thing that you get mad about or that frustrates you, that's your purpose. So if for me example, what frustrated me was people not speaking life to people. Like if you were negative, that frustrated me. That just frustrated me. So what I did was, man, I actually walked into speaking. It wasn't even like something that I was like, oh, I'm finna go speak. Like I'm finna start a career on speaking. No. I really always I just spoke life. So all I knew what to do was to speak life. That's all I knew how to do was to speak life. Well, one of my Miss Yates, shout out to Miss Yates, my 7th grade English teacher, who was there when my father passed away. She was like, Bryant, would you talk to some of my kids? Would you come talk to the 7th graders about your crucible moment? I know about your dad, passing or whatever. And I was like, sure. And she said, this was my first engagement that I ever got asked to speak. And I was like, well, I like to speak life. I like to encourage people already. I was doing that little bit while I was doing whatever I was doing outside of ball and working out. I would always get kids to come work out with me that would always want to work out with me that was coming up. So when I got the mic and I got to speak, oh, I was like, oh, this is it right here. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, on top of writing my books, because even though with a book, I'm not physically speaking verbally, I'm speaking with my pen and people are getting it, so I'm doing the same thing. They coincide. They're relatable. So as a person, if you like to, for instance, there's one of my teammates, Ellis, my roommate, he loved coaching. He loved to coach. Like he loved to show people how to do things. And it's just not with football, but it's everything. Well, Ellis got an opportunity to coach with the Minnesota Vikings. He was there for a year. They let him go and he was down. But I said, man, you got a coaching job, bro. You went to the top. You went all the way to the NFL. You the only one out of all three of us to go to the NFL, because it was me, Ellis, and Corey. Me, Ellis, and Corey. And he was the only one out of us three, our roommates, that made it to the NFL. you know, and I was like, bro, and then he was like, man, I keep getting disqualified. Like he'll go on interviews, people love him, but they was like, you overqualified. And I was like, bro, the place where you're supposed to be, God will put you. But I think that everything that he did was just practice for him to be in the position that he is now. Now he's in Dallas, the Dallas area, coaching high school, but he's loving it, you know what I'm saying? Because he's where he want to be with that, you know. Another instance, who is it? There's another teammate of mine, Kevin Norwood. He's in South Carolina. His wife is a lawyer, and he's starting a trucking company. Okay, he wanted, that's what he liked to do. Okay, my other homeboy TC, he already has a trucking company, you know, and he been doing good in the Dallas area. So I told Kev, I said, hey Kev, I can connect you with TC. He could tell you what I don't know, you know, or he know, because he already got his business up and running, you know. Like I said, he was like, all right, yeah, pass me his number. I tell him what I, you know, whatever. So we did that. But it's all about what makes you mad? What pisses you off, in the point where you like, man, that makes me mad when people do that. Whatever it is, then that's what you're called to do. That is your ministry, to be able to make that better, because I believe that everybody is an answer to a problem. We were born an answer to a problem that us as human beings have. So once you find that, then you can go into those things. And sometimes you may not get to that very thing that you're supposed to do right when you start. Most people think, oh, I'm finna start this and it's gonna be great. Well, you got to go through some trials and tribulations and some tests first before you get to this point. Like me, for speaking and writing books, I had to go through some stuff to have something to talk about. Like, if somebody gonna pay some money to hear me speak, I better have something, you know what I'm saying, to say. If somebody's gonna pay to buy my book, I better have something to say. So we've been tried and tested for the information that we're giving.
Man, everybody is an answer to a problem. That might be the title of this episode, man. That would hit me right in the chest, brother. That would hit me right in the chest, man. Oh man, Bryant, this has been phenomenal, man. We could go on and on. Obviously, I want to be respectful of your time. We're gonna have you on some more things, different panels and stuff we're working on, man. Because I love what you're doing. I love your spirit. I love the energy that you bring. I love the stories behind everything that you do. I think that's what makes it so impactful. Because, like you said, you've been through some things, which makes your story the reason why you're able to help other people now. And that's a beautiful thing, man. So we already talked about BryantLavender.com, but please tell the people where else they can get in touch with you, how they can reach out, how they can get in touch with everything that you're doing, man.
You guys can get in touch with me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I actually have a YouTube channel. Just all those platforms, Bryant Lavender, it'll pop up. I promise you. It'll say Jet USA alum, you know, author, speaker. Is come holler at me. I love to talk to you. You know, it's nothing. It's all love around here, man.
That's right. He's not hard to find. Google this man, Bryant Lavender. Look it up. Do your research, man. Well, Bryant, hey, I thank you again for coming on and sharing, man. This has been a phenomenal episode. I thank you for all the work that you do. I thank you for our, you know, I haven't even met you in person, man. I feel like I know you forever. So for the friendship that's kicked off and really just beginning, I'm excited for you, for everything you got going on. I know you got a big meeting later today, man. So congratulations on that.
Appreciate that.
But man, thank you again for coming on. Everybody we'll have all Bryant's information linked in the show notes. Make sure you go check that out. This has been another episode of Author Spotlight and Thrive After Sports with Bryant Lavender. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.